Welcome to Om Times TV, a division of Om Times Media and Broadcasting.
Consistently attract soulmate clients. Begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize. Hi, my loves. Welcome to another amazing episode here on my TV show and podcast. This is for you if you've been searching for enhancing your leadership and coaching skills, whether it's in your business, your career, or organization, including a non-for-profit organization. Have you been thinking about becoming a certified life or executive coach? Well, this episode is absolutely for you. I have none other than one of my very good friends, my business partner, my mentor, Abe Brown, who also is the founder of Certified Flourishing Life Coaching Programs. We're going to share a little bit about what makes our certification different from other coaching programs and why you should consider us. And we're going to go over what are the 10 critical success factors for building a resilient life and business, and what the 10 different niches we have in terms of certifications here at Flourishing Life Coaching Programs, and that we are also a personal and professional development company. So we'll share a little bit more about us, and we're hoping that you can tune in to really feel into if this perhaps would be your next step in becoming that next level version of you. So hello, Abe. I'm so happy you're doing this. Now, those of you who may be new to you, if you've been following me for a while, you've probably seen his face and our pictures together. I just recently shared to promote this episode a picture of Abe and I on my 40th birthday last summer, right, Abe? Climbing, hiking up Howling Mountain in Canmore. So one of the hardest mountains. So we did that together. So much fun. Now I'm going to actually read Abe's professional bio, so you also know how incredible this man is, not just by his heart and his soul, but also his background and his education and experiences. So Abe Brown, MBA, is the coach's coach and is an entrepreneurial professional speaker, international best-selling author, and high-performance leadership coach. He is the founder of Certified Flourishing Coaching, Flourishing Life Coaching Program, and Flourishing Workplace. Abe is known as a coach's coach and for being people first, and you'll really get to experience that here. He is most passionate about supporting people, relationships, entrepreneurs, businesses, and non-profits to thrive. Seriously, you guys, when I met Abe, gosh, Abe, how long has it been? 7 years now, I want to say. I would say, yeah. I would say at least that, it's been a great relationship. I think the best relationships are when you kind of lose track of time. Right. And, for sure, those 6 or 7 years, for sure. Absolutely. It's been amazing. And I remember as we built our relationship, I told myself, I'm like, yo, everything he touches turns to gold. Pay attention, Roz. This is a man of such integrity and charisma and people first. I really felt that from when we first met. And it's been beautiful to grow such a budding relationship that has now also, I had that intuition. We're going to work together someday. And here we are. So flourishing people produce flourishing relationships, businesses, and workplace, along with high performance and profound positive impacts. Abe is also passionate about workplace mental health and changing the world by changing the workplace, along with the team at Wellness Innovate, which is the corporate name for Flourishing Life Coaching Programs. Abe is a creator of Flourishing Workplaces. He's earned a master's in business administration from the University of Calgary and master's in religious education and counseling. So welcome, Abe. I can't wait for us to jam about this. Perhaps we can start with how is it that you came up, like what inspired you to start this company?
Well, it's kind of interesting because when you look at the coaching space right now in general, it's pretty crowded, right? Like you have to be kind of blind not to recognize that everyone calls themselves a coach, and there's not only lots of coaches, but there's a lot of coaching certification organizations that are out there as well. So, I think it's totally a valid question. I think for us, I have trained and certified. I was with another coaching organization. And so with that other coaching company, trained and certified literally about 8,000 coaches in 20 countries around the world. I'm very familiar with a lot of the models out there. And the thing that really struck me is that a lot of the coaching models started to follow a big trend that you're seeing in psychiatry and psychology, which was almost like a disease model. Like, let's look at what's wrong with you and try to fix that, rather than leaning into and building on your strengths. And, the fact of the matter is that a lot of coaching models also aren't evidence-based. So we felt like there was a place in the market for something that was evidence-based, that was strength-focused, and that had its grounding in positive psychology and in the psychology of flourishing. And so that's kind of why we stepped out. I mean, we're in an era where people like evidence, right? They want to make sure that what they're believing in and what they're kind of basing their decisions on has some basis to it. And that's kind of what we've leaned into here over the last year or so as we've launched this company together. And you've been such a huge part of that.
Yeah, I'm so honored that when you were first really looking at creating this, and then you were thinking about who you want to have as part of the team, the founding members, and you approached me, I was just like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
It just sounded incredible, and it's so beautiful for you. I know that also diversity is really key. Inclusion, diversity, and you found that was lacking in the previous place that you were at. And so this was something you really want to bring in to really reflects on those values you hold of that.
Yeah, and I can't stress how important, like for me, I mean, it's not like, oh, let's have a diversity program or something. I just, the way I live my life is so diverse. I think that there are perspectives and things that I learn from people, both old and young, from my quote unquote culture and from way outside of my cultural comfort zones.
Yeah.
And it's funny because if you don't see that reflected in your business, it's not just, well, that's a bad decision from a marketing perspective, but you're actually creating a business that could end up in a real place of imbalance because you're not getting the full picture. And I don't know that any one of us has the full picture, but that's actually the point. If you look around the room and everybody kind of looks like you, it's the same gender as you, same skin color as you, same, spiritual perspective as you, then you might be in the wrong room. You want to make sure that you're opening yourself up to a wide range of perspectives and opinions. And I think that's where the magic happens, is when we come together, right?
Absolutely. Different perspectives, different cultures allow us to really expand our, perspectives and views. So it's so powerful. Tell us more about what flourishing is based on. So what do you mean by evidence-based, and exactly on what?
Well, as we all know, like there is a lot of science around psychology and psychiatry. What's interesting, right, over, the 150 or so years that actually psychology has been, kind of a thing, what they have noticed in the research is that a lot of research that had occurred prior to the 1980s was focused on what you would call a disease model, right? Which is, hey, let's try to figure out what's wrong, what's dysfunctional about you. And so in the early 80s, along with great hair and pump shoes, you know what I mean, and wild makeup and, great bands, there was actually some great research going on around the science of flourishing. So what are the key elements that helps somebody to flourish? Now, somebody might say, well, what is flourishing? Well, flourishing in a real simple term is when you have a life of meaning. In other words, you're facing life every day with a sense of purpose. I had a long conversation yesterday with a guy, a beautiful man who just has no purpose. And that lack of purpose has led to a deep depression, and he doesn't know how to shake it. He's medicated. He's under the care of his doctor. But that's not the issue. The issue isn't, I need to adjust my meds. The issue for him is I need to find my purpose. And so, purpose is meaning, but it's also mattering. Like I actually feel like I matter. And that's not because I look a certain way or dress a certain way or have a certain number in my bank account. All of those things might be important, but I matter just because I have inherent worth and value. And flourishing is also having mastery. Now, mastery is a word we don't hear of a lot, but it really speaks to this idea of ownership and control. I'm not going to look at my life and use the hardship in my life as an excuse to fail. I'm not going to argue for my limitations. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, I was abused, therefore I'm going to go abuse people. I was, raised in the home of an addict, therefore that means I must be an addict. No, there's something in me that allows me to rise above. And so you've got meaning, you've got mattering, you've got mastery. And then, I think number 4, it's meaningful relationships, right? And, none of us flourishes or thrives alone. So, when we talk about, quote unquote, the science of flourishing, what we mean is that there's a set of, character traits or developmental skills that you can actually cultivate in your life that will help you to flourish. I mean, I think of the thousands and thousands of people I've worked with through the years who really were this close to flourishing if they just sort of sharpen their saw a little bit more, right? Because, mental health is fluid, emotional well-being, it's fluid. And so you've got to work at these things every day, not just assume that because you happen to be born that you deserve it. I mean, sure you do. But if you don't work at it, you might not find it. And so that's really what we're talking about. There's a lot of research, academic and clinical, that totally backs this up. And so that's what we kind of mean when we talk about the science of flourishing, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, Abe. And I want to let the audience know that, you are not just, this is not just theory for you. You actually have lived it. And where I'm going to actually link on the show notes, our podcast that we did together last year, where you shared your story of when you were we'll say on top of the world, and then things went crashing down, rock bottom, collapsing finances, collapsing marriage, and you were you fell into depression and you attempted to commit suicide. This is serious stuff. And then you applied what you're teaching today and what we teach at Flourishing and coach people to become those coaches of Flourish. And you are literally living what you've been teaching and passing down to us here at Flourishing Life Coaching certification programs. Thank you for being you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's just incredible, when we hear these stories of moving from rock bottom to flourishing to the top, and it's how do we do that? And we teach people and coach people how to do that at Flourishing Life Coaching. And so thank you, Abe. It's huge. I would love for you to share. So the other piece is you have tons of experience in non-for-profit and turning non-for-profits around to really flourish. The restaurant business, We're going to give Broken Yoke a shout out. They're incredible Filipino fusion restaurants in Alberta. And you have worked in the corporate world, you still do, in terms of helping leaders there. So I feel like a lot of people are thinking, well, why do I need a life coaching certification if I'm not in my own business, I'm not thinking about life, being a life coach? Can you actually speak to this a little bit more so that those who lead teams in the corporate world, in a non-for-profit, can see actually this will really benefit them too?
Yeah, no, it's such a great question. I mean, it's funny because, I did an MBA at one of the top 10 business schools in Canada. And when you do an MBA, well, you don't have to do an MBA to understand basic accounting. On a what's called a balance sheet, you have a list of what's called assets, and then you have another list called liabilities. And your assets are all the things that are supposed to essentially add value to your business. The liabilities are the debts that you have. They sort of take away the value, if you want to think of it that way. What's crazy is that this little microphone here, this laptop computer that I'm doing this on here today, that would show up as an asset on a corporate balance sheet, and yet people would show up as a liability. In other words, they're an expense. And yet this little microphone here every year depreciates all by itself. It just sits here, and every year it loses value, right? Whereas people, the moment you invest in them, they actually gain in value. And so the whole system that we live in actually teaches us the opposite of reality. The opposite of reality is that, oh, this thing is an asset and you as a person are a liability. And so as a coach, you understand that people are your most important asset.
Yes.
If you take a server in a restaurant who just starts part-time, maybe she's a young 18-year-old lady, you invest in her, pretty soon she's running that restaurant, and pretty soon she might be running the whole chain of restaurants. Why? Because you invested in a human being. That's the power of coaching, right? For a 2-day training where, you spend, I don't know, $1,200 or $1,300 with us, you're going to learn the skills that will help you take that, that young person, that older person, that person who's, just sort of listless and languishing, and they're not really sure what they want out of life. And you're going to learn the skills that will help them to be activated. An activated person is unstoppable, right? And I think any astute business leader or owner, you understand that. If you can just get your people moving from 40, 50% of productivity to 80, 90%, that will transform your business faster than any marketing campaign on this planet. And so, what we teach in coaching certification, I mean, all kinds of people get coaching certified, not because they're trying to run a business as a coach, but because they want to learn about investing in people. We've had hair, dressers take our training. We've had massage therapists. We've had chiropractors. We've had business owners, nonprofit executives, you name it. Why? Because every one of us would work with people. And if you can learn the skills for unlocking the best of a person, well, not only have you done the world a lot of good, but you've also helped your organization as well.
Absolutely. I love that so much. I have, when I facilitate, I have therapists come in, and, people are thinking, well, they already are therapists. Why would they want to take this? And it's because it's such a different approach that you're bringing in these skills, which we'll dive deeper into, and these tools and templates that are based on the research of resiliency, what's right with people. And it's a very uplifting energy. I recently, the last time I facilitated the certification program, I had a social worker in there, and we've had few social workers, and they are so grateful for how uplifting this is. And they often feel quite drained after their sessions with their clients, and switching some of these questions and implementing them into the sessions has allowed them to feel literally more vibrant and not drained, and their energy is just different by the end of the session and by the end of the day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the focus is powerful.
Well, you know, and I want to speak to that for a moment, Roz, and I love how you bring that up because, and I hope this isn't too controversial. Well, you know, sorry, but not sorry. You know, because you know, there are a few people on this planet that I have more respect for than educators and social workers and therapists, right? I mean, these are people who are, you know, sort of as you could say, like the best of us, of all of us, right? They're in it because they care deeply about people. And yet, you know, if I could get a dime for every social worker, educator, and therapist who's told me that they're this close to burnout in the last 12 to 20 months, I'll tell you what, I would be a millionaire many times over, because the system is draining these people, right? The system has taken those beautiful hearts and those beautiful minds and sucked all the life out of it. And part of the reason for that is because our system, at least here in Canada, is we have taught people, hey, you're a victim. You don't need to change. All you have to do is just navigate this little box called the system. Just stay nice and safe. Hey, I spent a decade leading some of the largest nonprofits in Canada around homelessness, poverty, mental health, and addiction. And I can tell you, the moment you try to have a conversation with a client that says, hey, you can actually change your situation. You can shift from where you are to where you really want to be, because you don't want to be lying here on a mat in a homeless shelter. And you're also not, you know, looking for someone to rescue you. But, you know, the problem is the system, and I think often even the government, because they like to perpetuate some of these dependency sort of mindsets. You know, nothing that the government likes to do more than to have a whole bunch of people dependent on it. And, you know, the problem is these wonderful social workers get trapped in that sort of system. So they're going in there trying to help people change, to empower people change. And they find out that the system is actually wired against that. And so they're just hitting their heads against this wall. You know, every educator that I know, you know, the therapists who are out there. And so all of a sudden you start to introduce them to this language that says, hey, you know, sure, where you've come from is difficult, and sure, the system has been stacked against you, and absolutely you faced tremendous trauma and pain that no one should have to face, but there's still an opportunity here, right? Yes. To begin to move forward. And here I am as your coach. I'm going to support you to get there. What does that look like for you? And, you know, it's such an empowering message. And so, you know, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've seen social workers come in, you know, like this close to resigning at the start of our training weekends. And by the time we're done, just 2 days of training, they're ready to go back in and make a big difference, right? With a model that aligns to their values, that also doesn't, you know, isn't going to get them fired, but also allows them to truly support clients who are interested in making the changes that they need to make.
Absolutely. Yes. And I mean, we make it really clear, coaching doesn't replace therapy, but absolutely what we teach in the certifications are powerful questions that can be, for therapists, included in the process with their clients. And it's absolutely, I love that you mentioned burnout, because I mean, that is those professions are very high burnouts, and for people to start to bring, because where your attention goes, your energy flows, and it's such a powerful, uplifting process for the therapist and the clients. So it's beautiful. Can you speak to, Abe, when you are coaching corporate clients, what that looks like in terms of the certification, and then how you coach them to help their teams?
So, you know, I love working with corporate clients because, you know, for us, you know, the motto that we have is that you can change the world by changing the workplace, right? So all of us, you know, we kind of have a workplace. Now, you know, the pandemic has shifted some of that. So some of us, our workplace is, you know, quote unquote, from home. And for others, the workplace is back to sort of live in person. But the bottom line is that we're spending 8 to 10 hours a day at the workplace. And that's like almost half of the time that we're awake in our entire life. And so if that is a toxic environment, if that's an environment that's demeaning or disempowering, or that doesn't allow you to activate your creativity, then that is going to really impact your mental health. How can it not? In the same way as if you were in a toxic marriage, or a child in a toxic parenting sort of situation. So the environment matters, right? Like we're only, kind of not looking at the facts if we deny that. The problem is that most business owners and even nonprofit leaders have been trained in this very classic ROI model, which is profit first, people second, right? In other words, it doesn't really matter the impact on people, how we're going to run this business, and even this nonprofit is, in a nonprofit, the word is sustainability. But the real idea is we need to maximize return on investment. The problem with that is that it's actually flies in the face of all of the research. The research shows that if you invest in people, in their mental and emotional well-being, that actually they work harder, they work more productively, they're more creative, they're more engaged, you have less lawsuits, you have less mental health, illness, long-term disability claims. And so our position when we go into an organization is, you're already paying for this one way or the other. You're paying for the mental health of your employees, either on the back end with bullying and harassment claims and long-term disability claims due to mental health or workplace injury, or you can pay up front by actually proactively investing. And I think for leaders, if there's one group of people I got a ton of empathy for, it's leaders. I'll tell you why. Leaders, like somebody like myself getting a business education, you learn zero about managing the most important asset, which is people. If you want a person with an MBA to figure out how to read a financial statement or understand supply chain management or write a strategic plan, well, that's your person. But when you look at what they actually teach you on supporting the mental and emotional well-being of your people, it's like zero. So we go into an organizations and we give leaders tools. And we've got a wonderful, wonderful array of both in-person, online, recorded modules, group coaching sessions, but very practical training that helps leaders without taking actually a lot of time. A lot of our programs would run, let's say, over the entirety of a year, and maybe the commitment is an hour or two per month over a 12-month period. But in that sort of time frame, you're actually opening up space for so many other meaningful conversations that happen in that workplace that begin to shift the energy. And we call it actually a flourishing workplace, right? So imagine a workplace where you go to work and you're fueled, where you're energized, where you're empowered and supported rather than drained, sort of feeling like the life and the soul is being sucked out of you. And so
it's not available for that.
Yeah, but it's amazing, isn't it? How many people are, in soul-sucking jobs, right? I mean, it's just a crazy thing, isn't it?
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I always love the way you share this so much more eloquently than I can.
Oh, whatever. You're pretty eloquent. But thanks for being so kind.
And that's what I love about you, and that's what I love about Flourishing is this is about people first. And when we invest in our people, we create accountability and an environment of accountability within our people, within ourselves. And that raises the vibrations, that raises the results, that increases the bottom line, whether it's business, not-for-profit, or corporate world. There's way less staff turnover. There's way more cohesion in terms of that family value sense of in the organizations, and it's powerful. So this is what I love about Flourishing.
Love it too.
So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into commercial, and when we come back, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper about the 10 different niches that we here at Certified Flourishing Life Coaching provide.
It's great.
Times TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
Are you feeling maxed out working one-on-one with clients and you're deeply desiring to scale your business for more time freedom without sacrificing your income, but rather expanding it? Many of my clients who are light workers, healers, practitioners, and even coaches, they're often multi-modality, are coming to me because they are sick and tired of working with clients on a one-off session model where the clients are coming in on an as-need basis. Or if they're selling packages, they are selling them in the sense of buy 5, get 1 free, or the greater the number of sessions, the greater the discount. The problem with this is it's still a dollar for hours business model. And so that leaves the practitioner feeling really exhausted and overwhelmed from having to put so much time, effort, and energy in finding new clients that they're not operating in their most elevated self with their current clients. And so if this is you, I would love to share with you that it's time to elevate your business and scale it to sell high-ticket one-on-one programs or even group programs. This will allow you to have more deeper impacts because you're raising your clients' results, you're scaling your business, and you're having that time freedom you deeply are yearning for. If this is resonating with you, love, I'd love to invite you to come on a soul business alignment call with me so that you can stop feeling like you're on this roller coaster ride and start to feel safe and stable and even having fun in your business and your finances. Please go to electrifymybusiness.com to apply and we'll hop on a call. I can't wait to connect.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back, love. So if you're watching here on the TV show, you'll see I have here the coaching guide. This is the facilitator version, but our students get the participant version of the Flourishing Life Coach certification. So Abe, I'd love for you to share the 10 different niches of certifications that we have and exactly how this works.
Yeah, such a great question. So, you know, when we decided to launch this, what we wanted to start with was this idea of how do you build a flourishing life or a life that can truly flourish and thrive? Because, you know, obviously, if my relationships are broken, or if as a parent I'm struggling, or I'm struggling as a leader or a business owner, it might not be because of my technique. It might be because I need to learn as a person how to flourish. And so that's the sort of, we call it the foundational level, which is what we call Certified Flourishing Life Coach. And in there, we teach the core competencies for flourishing. We actually teach you how to thrive. You know, what does that look like in your life, and how is it that you can thrive? And then on top of that foundational model, we actually have 9 other certifications. We're working on a 10th actually right now, and it's under wraps, but we're in development. So we have certification in everything from We have a certified relationships coach. We have a certified parenting coach. We've got a certified career coach. We have a certified wellness coach. We've got a certified leadership coach and a certified business coach, a certified workplace coach. Back to that idea of, a flourishing workplace. We have a certified flourishing creativity coach and a certified flourishing sales coach. And so this really allows us to hit a lot of the different types of niches that are out there in the coaching market, but insert, the science of flourishing and augment that science of flourishing with best practices, let's say as a leader or in wellness or as a business owner or whatever, right? Depending on the niche that the person is very interested in.
Absolutely. And what I love about this is that, like any amazing certification, it's a personal development course first. I know that when I was going through the certification, it was like, holy moly, of course you want to know that this sort of like what we're teaching and coaching people to become as coaches, as leaders, and having those skills, that it works on you too, right? So and I can share a little bit about the way this works is each certification is, like Abe said, the foundation is the life coaching. And that's a 2-day certification. And when you desire to go further into that, so in those 2 days, it's very experiential. There's pre-work before with the 2 days, and then there's post-work as well. And in those 2 days, it's very experiential, taking those concepts and then being in the practice and the embodiment of this model. And then if you desire to specialize more in any of the niches that Abe has shared, then you are, we have a offering for that, so that it's actually includes so much more than just the certifications. So we can talk a little bit more about that too, Abe.
Yeah, you know what I discovered having done lots of coaching, and what's really important to notice as well is that our coach training, doesn't just support you for the one-on-one, but also in the group coaching session, because everything we teach can be easily leveraged over into groups. And so what I found is that most coaches actually understand the concepts and the theories very well. Like, it's not like they're like, lost in a fog, but what they often lack is just practical tools. So what does that look like in actuality? How do you help a client to figure out their goals? How do you help a client to figure out what's holding them back? How do you support a client who's a business owner to move their business from where they are to where they want to be? So, I think the last time I added up, when you look at all 10 certifications that we have, every single program on average has about 18 tools in it as well. So very specific tools. So, you go through, all of these programs, and you're going to have dozens and dozens of tools that are just so practical, from, doing a business assessment to a wellness assessment to, how then would I take that wellness assessment and implement a process for change and transformation, within my client's life. And, again, these tools all work just as well in a group coaching session. And that, Roz, because you do a lot of group coaching, and as well as in an individual one-on-one session, because, hey, different coaches sort of resonate differently. I know a lot of coaches, after you do the one-on-one for many years, they feel like, well, hey, I'd like now to sort of expand my reach. I'd like to also make my reach more efficient. Therefore, I want to move into group coaching. And so it's so great that our tools allow you to do that.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about the tools, because they're actually computerized based on the assessment. So let's share a little bit more about the Flourishing Life assessment that we teach our students to administer to their clients and teams.
Yeah, so a huge win for us has been our relationship with a clinical psychologist who's also a university professor by the name of Dr. Wayne Hammond. And Dr. Wayne and I, our friendship goes back to 2013. He's a partner in a separate company. They're called Flourishing Life Technologies. They're exceptional. But, Dr. Wayne has taken his literally 40 years of research into the science of flourishing and resilience, and he has turned it into a questionnaire that's all online, and it's called the Flourishing Life Questionnaire. And the idea there is to tease out, again, what are the areas that are working well for you? So let's always start with your strength. Where are you already flourishing? Let's celebrate that. Let's maximize and build on that. But then, where are the opportunities for growth? And it's all based on these 10 core competencies for flourishing that we've been talking about a little bit here. And so what's also great as a coach and as a client is now you have measurement. And when you have measurement, I think this is one of the big problems. Like how can I, everybody's like, well, I need to figure out where I need to go. And my first question is, well, where are you? And they're like, well, hey, bro, that's not the question I'm asking. I'm like, well, how can you figure out where you want to go if you don't even know where you are? Like if I enter in a location, a desired location on my phone, the first thing my phone's going to ask me on Google Maps is from your current location. So if I don't know where I am right now, it's going to be very difficult to chart a path. And I think that that's one of the challenges that a lot of people face today is they're all trying to figure out where do I want to go, but they don't have clear measurement of where they are right now. And that measurement has to be done with empathy. It has to be done with safety. It has to be done with love and care, but it also has to be done with truth, right? Because we don't have to fear the truth. As a matter of fact, we got to run to the truth because that's where the answers really lie. And so, that's the power, I think, of the FLQ. And now you can actually begin to move forward towards the goal that you've got for your life.
Absolutely. It's so powerful when even those our students get to take the FLQ and see for themselves where their strengths are. So it's literally calculating based on your answers to the questions, what are your biggest strengths in the 10 critical success factors, which we still also need to touch base on. There's so much to talk about. And also where the opportunities of growth are. That's how we label it, as opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you think about growth, right? I mean, let's just be honest, right? Because I think that's one of the challenges is we don't have as many authentic conversations as we need to have. We all struggle, right? Like I've got areas of my life that I'm not really happy about and I'm working on every day, and things I'm still grieving and things I'm still working through. Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? But actually, I don't know if that would be fun at all. I think about, what does it look like to have arrived? And I haven't met anyone yet who has. And so, it's kind of an interesting thing. And hey, we're all on a journey. And so it's in that safety of saying, okay, celebrate what I'm doing well. But what are the areas that I need to work on? So we do have these 10 core competencies for flourishing. None of them are actually mysterious or weird. They're just things like personal empowerment. So having, that sense of confident optimism, and often I think about these through the lens of the opposite. So the opposite of personal empowerment is somebody who's disempowered, and we've all met that person. And so an empowered person, they're confident, they've got a belief in themselves and their ability to move forward. Personal awareness is a big part of flourishing. That's another one of the core competencies. You've got to have a really healthy dashboard of your own mental and emotional state, right? The third is emotional intelligence and social intelligence. In other words, how am I emotionally regulating and how am I connecting with other people around me? The fourth is leadership or, courage. So it's that idea that says in every situation, I have an opportunity to lead. In every situation, I have an opportunity to make a difference. The fifth is being innovative or entrepreneurial. And the sixth is having what we call, and we know this from the research done by Carol Dweck, Dr. Carol Dweck, a growth mindset. The seventh is being a motivated or a self-directed learner. And boy, like it's amazing, how many times people will say, well, I can't do this. I don't know how. And part of flourishing is saying, hey, I can find a way on YouTube, to learn almost everything today. What's that?
Good old Google.
Yeah, and yet it's amazing, when somebody's stuck in that mindset that says, well, I can't, I won't, all of a sudden they're holding themselves back from truly thriving. The eighth competency is integrity, right? So there is no flourishing if I'm lying to myself, if I'm not operating out of a place of integrity with people. The ninth is those interpersonal or collaborative skills. So, how nicely do I play in the sandbox, because no one actually flourishes alone. And then the 10th is the ability to be an effective problem solver, right? And, this is one of our challenges today, where you look around and you see complexity everywhere. How do I build my business? How do I build, I was raised in a family where all I saw was broken relationships and abuse. And so there's a complexity for me around something. For some others is so simple, like how do I treat my wife? Well, for me, that's been a complex thing. And I don't have it figured out yet, but I'm a lot further than I was. But, really, there wasn't the modeling that I needed to show me. I love watching you and Dan together. And I think, how blessed your kids are, because, your two boys, they're learning, aren't they? Dan's not perfect, but boy, it's wonderful to see how he treats you. And they're learning, how to operate in such an important relationship like marriage or whatever, And so, for some people, problem solving, my complexity isn't yours, I guess is what I'm saying. We all have our areas where that complexity can make a big difference. And so that's a lot of what flourishing teaches.
Absolutely. And just for the record, Abe is joking. He's an incredible husband. I know his wife and his CMT, we're all friends. You absolutely practice what you preach. So,
yeah.
And I'd love for, you audience, as you're tuning in, are these areas, how has it been going for you in these 10 critical areas of success? Where are you noticing the areas of strength for you? Where are you noticing the areas of opportunity? And at Flourishing Life Coaching programs, we also have specific personal and professional development courses, such as the one actually as we're recording today, May 12th, 2022, but these will be ongoing this coming weekend. So there's two upcoming things. One, I am running the Certified Life Coaching Certification, and we also, Abe, you are running the Elevate Your Speaking course. So tell us a little bit about that and some of the other courses we offer.
Yeah, a huge part of our vision is really the idea of personal and professional development, right? So we have a bundle, two different bundles that allow people to not only get coaching certified, but also to recognize that not everyone who is coaching certified necessarily wants to build a business in that. So let's give them the information, but then also let's give them a whole bunch of other tools so they can grow and develop personally and professionally. So this weekend, like you mentioned, we're running what's called Elevate EST, which is exceptional speaker training. And, I've been blessed in my career to literally have made millions of dollars as a professional speaker. And so I have put together a 2-day intensive course that will not only teach you how to speak and how to tell your story, and creates tons of opportunities for you to speak. So it's not 2 days of you listening to me speak about speaking, but it's actually about a day of teaching. And then the rest of the time is you speaking to each other. And then we also add in a little bit of content on how you can monetize speaking. We have courses like the Entrepreneurial Blueprint, the Author Acceleration Formula, Letting Go and Moving Forward, Breaking Free of Fear. Most of these are 2-day courses, but they're also all, recorded. And if that's the best way for you to access the information, we have a beautiful facility here in Calgary. I'm located in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So we run a lot of live training events here, but everything that we do gets recorded so that, when you become a part of our community, you can tap into that whole ecosystem of training and development and community.
Absolutely. And these will be run regularly as well. So if you desire to hop in on this weekend with Abe at the Elevate Exceptional Speaker Training, you can do so virtually. My clients in Soul Ascension Business Academy get access to the Flourishing Life Coaching programs, which is really exciting. And so because they're in different places in North America, globally, that they can just virtually pop in and learn. So that's incredible. Speaking of global, we are, like Abe, you have manifested the vision into the diversity and how global we have become. So Flourishing Life Coaching Programs, let's talk about where our coaches, our facilitators, our students, our members, like this, our community is like hopping.
Yeah, no, the
group is like just always so uplifting, positive. We're cheering each other on. We're welcoming new members. Let's talk about where we're all at.
Yeah, you know, it's one of the great things about our Flourishing Tribe, we call it, is just the connectivity that we've got. So, of course, we've got lots of members of our tribe in Canada and the United States. But we've also been really fortunate to show up. We're in about 12 different countries right now. We actually operate some of our certification programs in countries like Indonesia, the Philippines, Hong Kong, you know, South America, parts of South America, you know, parts of the Middle East. And, you know, every day it seems like we're in conversation with different countries, new parts of the world. And what's so awesome is, you know, it's, you know, irregardless of our, like, quote unquote, nationality or even our spirituality, certainly our language or skin color, there's such a wonderful sort of global emerging consensus around let's support each other, right? Let's empower each other. Let's allow each other to flourish. Let's stop tearing each other down and let's start lifting each other up. So it's so cool that, you know, here you and I are chatting and we probably live about an hour's flight from each other, but I can hop on a call with somebody who's a 20-hour flight away from where I live, and the same heart, the same energy, the same spirit. It's just so wonderful to see that. And it really moves me because, you know, a lot of people today are talking about all the division, and there is division. I mean, but I think that often we can accentuate the negative and not see just how much unity and collective, you know, sort of harmony and peace and love is breaking out, and it's unstoppable, right? It can't be stopped. And so we just need to let it happen and let it happen in our lives.
Absolutely. And as you're speaking, I'm just like, those of you who are watching right now, like you can see my starting to tear up because honestly, Abe, like just what you've birthed into the world. And I don't even have a word to describe how grateful I am, how honored I am to be part of the Flourishing Life Coaching programs and community. I'm so touched by the, we'll say, flourishing success of this company and the beautiful people that are coming in and the enthusiasm, like the belief in flourishing and people wanting to influence others to flourish too is just incredible. And I'm just so grateful that you have taken the courage to birth this into a world. And we aren't even that old in terms of the company. At this point in recording, you just started it in January 2021.
Actually, not even. It was actually more like we formally publicly launched in October of 2021. We did our first certification non-public, you know, to our beta group.
That's correct.
July.
Yes.
And but let me just say this, Rosalind, I'm so grateful for you too. I can't say enough about your heart, your passion, your journey. You're inspiring to so many. And you know, I was just thinking about you the other day and thinking to have, you know, the way you show up every day, so consistent, so loving, so empowering, you know, a massive investment in your own energy. And so I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful that you do that for all of us. You know, really, it means a lot.
Thank you so much, Abe. I love you so much.
I love you too.
So as we're wrapping up, you can feel the energy, you can feel the love, you can't make this shit up. This is like absolutely how grateful I am to be part of Certified Flourishing Coaching and the impact and influence that we are creating in this world. If you desire to lean in more, you can DM me on Bold Sexy Warrior on Instagram or here on Facebook, Rosalind Fun Coaching, Bold Sexy Warrior. Please connect with Abe. He's very inspiring. Abe Brown, he'll be tagged in the show notes. And you guys can find us on Instagram at Certified Flourishing Coach as well on Facebook. So thank you so much, Abe, for being here. I'm always so happy to jam with you.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And my wish for all of you is to continue flourishing in your lives, in every single area.